Sandy. I'm the author of the 16th century historical fantasy novel, The Rise of Riverstone, that's now available on Amazon, through my website, barnesandnoble.com, IndieBound, wherever books are sold. Today we're going to talk about something very special. How often do you read a book and you have to go to the dictionary or Google to figure out what they're talking about? Where are they? What is this place? I've never heard of a solar. I've never heard of a buttery. What is a guardrobe? I'm here to clear up the confusion because my novel, The Rise of Riverstone, takes place in a castle. And it's important for you to understand that each room in a castle is very specific uses. And I'm going to tell you what they are so that when you're reading, you'll know right away what's going on. So first of all, we have the Great Hall. This is the main large room. Usually it's got very high ceilings. That's so conversations can kind of carry. There's no secrets in the Great Hall. There's a dais on the other side where the king and queen are, and that's where they will receive visitors. There'll be huge banquets in the Great Hall also. Usually it's where the big parties are. So lots of people, lots of noise. And if you have a grievance to the king, this is where you're going to go. He'll receive visitors, guests, be magnanimous. Smaller, we have the bedrooms. We all know what a bedroom is. It has a bed, right? But in a castle, it's a set of rooms. So usually there'll be a receiving room, have meetings, conduct business in that room. And then there's a separate room that has their bed where they sleep. This set of rooms can also be called a solar. A servant, like a lady in waiting, is going to have her room very close to the bedrooms. That's so anytime their mistress needs something, they can get up, they can be there right away. And as you'll read in The Rise of Riverstone, Laria is like a stone's throw away from the princess's rooms, which makes it really hard to be sneaky. Baths were usually done, despite common misconceptions, fairly often, but they were portable, so they'd have portable tubs that would be brought into their rooms. Water would be heated by servants, brought up in buckets, and they could take a bath that way. They also had privies, but they're called guardrobes. This is very primitive. Again, it's a toilet that basically just leads to the outside, but most of the time in a castle, they have chamber pots, and usually hiding under the bed, they would relieve themselves, and then a servant would take care of them, which is awesome. All the kitchens were close to the main hall. This served a double purpose. Heat from the kitchens would also heat the main hall. Also, all the food was really close to where they were being served. Later, separate buildings and kitchens evolved, but most of the time the kitchens were very close. Also had a larder. This was usually cooler, meats, fish. They didn't have refrigeration, so this was basically their refrigerator. The buttery. It's not as exciting as it sounds, but it's pretty exciting. It's just not a room full of butter. It's a room full of beer. And it got that name from the butts of the casks that were stored here. Nobles drank wine, and the paltry fermented yeasts were served to the lesser. But yeah, all the beer was stored in the buttery, which is probably where I would hang out. Hey, I had to regroup because my dog started barking, and then I had an existential crisis. Anyway, for The Rise of Riverstone, a couple of rooms that feature prominently that actually have a big role are going to be two of them that I will talk about. One of them it's called a cabinet, and it's not a cabinet of curiosities or dishes. It refers to a study that's usually attached to a bedroom, and it's usually for men, and it's usually a smaller room. So in The Rise of Riverstone, Laria and Rister do meet quite a bit in a study that's attached to rooms. It's the 16th century equivalent of a man cave. The other room you really need to be aware of is the undercroft. This is almost like a cellar, so it's an underground room. It's going to be cool, and it's where they store barrels of alcohol like wine. They're going to have flour, things that they don't want to spoil, and rent those spaces out to shopkeepers for storage. But it's also a great place for clandestine meetings in the middle of the night. One thing that really helped me when I was planning out the outline of the castle, and that kind of helped me when I was writing, was to have an actual castle in mind when planning my fantasy castle. So this is Kim Bolton Castle, and I kind of used this partially to help me remember my outline of the different rooms. So even though this isn't the castle in the book, it really helps visually if you take an actual structure and you can kind of figure out where the rooms are. You know, the bedrooms are going to be on one floor, the kitchens are going to be on this floor, then you're going to have your undercroft down below. And especially when you're writing about characters moving within the castle, it really helps visually for you to, when you're writing, which will translate to your readers being able to figure out where things are in space. Thank you for coming to my castle talk. That's what I have for you today. Pick up The Rise of Riverstone from my website, riverstonesaga.com. You can also find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, IndieBound, Powell's, wherever books are sold. Please, if you can, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and like this page. We're having just some fun with it. We're introducing you to the world, and I hope you join us next time.